Hello, I'm Esther Gidhu-Ewart. Welcome to Africa 54. Here's what's coming up. The U.S. Congress certifies President-elect Donald Trump's win in 2024 election on the 4th anniversary of Trump's supporters storming the U.S. Capitol to overturn the certification of Joe Biden's election win. John Dramani Mahama is sworn in for his second term as Ghana's president with a fresh mandate to tackle corruption, high unemployment, inflation, and public discontent. And delivering high-quality healthcare in the landlocked country of Lesotho is proving to be a difficult challenge. The nation has high rates of HIV and tuberculosis. All this and much more coming up on today's Africa 54. The U.S. Congress certified President-elect Donald Trump's win of the 2024 election Monday on the 4th anniversary of Trump's supporters storming the U.S. Capitol to overturn the certification of Joe Biden's 2020 election win. VOA's congressional correspondent Catherine Gibson has more.
4 years after the most tumultuous certification of election results in U.S. history, a quiet and orderly process Monday, as the U.S. Congress certifies that Donald Trump won the 2024 election. The new Senate Majority Leader John Thune hailed the victory.
Republicans improved our margins in nearly 90% of counties in the United States and grew support with nearly every demographic group. The Republican coalition is broad and strong and growing. Now the work begins of delivering on our agenda. And, Mr. President, Republicans are ready to go.
Despite her loss to Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris fulfilled her constitutional duty of presiding over the certification of the election. Only 2 other sitting U.S. vice presidents have presided over electoral counts after their losses for the presidency: Richard Nixon in 1961 and Al Gore in 2001.
For president and vice president.
In a taped statement earlier Monday, Harris emphasized the importance of a peaceful transfer of power.
This duty is a sacred obligation, one I will uphold, guided by love of country, loyalty to our Constitution, and my unwavering faith in the American people.
One analyst told VOA that duty is part of a long tradition of American leaders respecting the democratic process.
This is her role to play. That she's going to carry it out purposefully and as intended. And that just shows the commitment to a peaceful transfer of power, even and especially if you are the one on the losing end of the election. It shows a strength and a commitment to these ideals, something that we've taken for granted for too long and now need to return to.
But congressional Democrats say January 6, 2021 should not be forgotten.
Far too many individuals have tried to rewrite the history of January 6th, have tried to sweep the truth under the rug and pretend like the day was perfectly fine or even a moment of great patriotism. That is a lie, plain and simple.
In 2022, a congressional committee composed of 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans placed the blame for January 6 on Trump for repeating lies about election fraud and allegedly inciting supporters to attack the U.S. Capitol.
Because we are not fair weather patriots.
But Trump and many of his supporters have criticized the work of the committee as biased and suggested criminal defendants in January 6 cases should be pardoned. Trump will be sworn in for his second term as president on January 20th. Catherine Gibson, VOA News, Washington.
John Dramani Mahama was sworn in for his second term as Ghana's president on Tuesday with a fresh mandate to tackle familiar challenges, including corruption, high unemployment, inflation, and public discontent. The opposition leader, 66, won the December 7th presidential election by a wide margin to staging a political comeback. He replaces Nana Akufo-Addo, who steps down after serving 2 terms, continuing Ghana's democratic tradition in a region gripped elsewhere by military coups and insurgencies. Ghana's economy is again growing following the COVID-19 pandemic, a cost of living crisis, an ongoing bailout from the International Monetary Fund, and a sovereign sovereign debt default, Mahama is likely to be under pressure to deliver quickly on campaign promises to curb high youth unemployment and root out entrenched corruption.
I, John Dramani Mahama,
having been elected
to the high office
of President of the Republic of Ghana,
Mahama started his political career as Ghana's communications minister. Reporter Kent Menseh has more from across Independence Square, the venue of Ghanaian presidential inaugurations.
We are here at the Blaster Square in the capital of Ghana, Accra, witnessing the swearing-in of President-elect John Dramani Mahama, who won the December election decisively. Ghanaians from all walks of life are here to witness the inauguration of Mahama. They are dressed in Ghana colors, red, gold, and green, and some also are dressed in the party colors of the NDC, whose ticket Mahama came to power. We have a host of dignitaries from all over the world, including the chairman of ECOWAS, Ahmed Bola Tinubu of Nigeria, President Ruto of Kenya, and Ghanaians from all walks of life. My name is Kent Mensah for VOA News, Accra.
Mahama is under pressure to deliver quickly on campaign promises to curb high youth unemployment and root out entrenched corruption. Reporter Kwame Amenolto spoke to some residents of Accra.
What we need mostly is employment right here. And the youth nowadays, the work and economic hardship is very bad and it's not moving well. The youth are into drugs and other stuff because of employment.
For me, my expectation is we want him to come and do what, like we as a Ghanaians, because we will need more jobs. Yeah, so we have to at least give us some jobs for the youth. Then we to know that, as we said, a competent president, we have voted for a competent president, that we know that he's going to do it, and he will do it for the youth as well.
The reason why I have hope in NDC government, which is Mahama, because like once you have done something before and you are coming back to start it, it's an easy thing. It's a senior man. So we have belief in him that he will take Ghana to beyond aid.
Ghanaians there are talking about the expectations as John Dramani Mahama starts his second term. For more on what Ghanaians can expect in President Mahama's second term, I'm joined live from Accra, Ghana by Vera Abena-Addo, Programs Officer at Ghana Center for Democratic Development. Vera, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you for having me.
What resonated with Ghanaians from President John Mahama's speech as he took oath of office today?
So, first of all, for many Ghanaians, especially young girls and women, for the first time, we have a female who was sworn in as the first vice president. And for Mahama to acknowledge that by his side, he's going to have the first female vice president is going to shape a lot of things. And it was so refreshing to see that. And for many Ghanaians, we also was happy that President Mahama acknowledged the high expectations of Ghanaians. And he mentioned that these expectations are valid, considering how much support and vote he got in the December 7th election. And so the commitment from him to start running an efficient government and to fight corruption was quite refreshing for more Ghanaians. And to look at tackling the economy, it looks like that is what a lot of young people want, employment, and to make sure that they have jobs in the country.
Vera, give us a little more information about the vice president. Who is she? What's her name? And what is known about her?
So she is Professor Jainana Ajumayopoko. She was in the previous Mahama's administration. She was a Minister of Education. She's also served as the first Vice Chancellor for one of the public universities in Ghana, University of Cape Coast. And so we know her to be in the education field and her contribution towards education. And so for us as Ghanaians to see that for the first time we are going to have gender balance at the top or the high level of leadership in government is quite refreshing. And we've seen what she did in the education ministry, and for us it's more important that diversity, balance, and parity at the top is very important. And we thought that it's long overdue for us to have a female at the top, at the highest office of Ghana.
Ghana has a very vibrant opposition group. What are they asking President Mahama to do first to make Ghana a more cohesive country?
So it looks like this is Mahama is still enjoying his honeymoon, if we should put it. Not much has been heard from them. They've mentioned their willingness to work with the government. Of course, we saw Nanado, the former president. We have also former President Kufuor and the former vice president, who was also the candidate, all present at the inauguration. So it looked like there's a more willingness to work together, but of course it's too early to know what is going to happen. The opposition is also calling on the government to see what they are going to do to get resources, because the President Mahama campaigned and promised to cut a number of taxes and to ensure that we remove some taxes, he calls it unnecessary, and to enhance business. So they are looking at how President Mahama is going to be able to raise resources for his promises that he's mentioned.
On top of your head, what do Ghanaians really want to see the president fix first?
So, corruption. A lot of people, Ghanaians, believe that there was so much corruption in the previous government, and President Mahama's step of having a committee to look at operation. He has an initiative called Operation Recover All Loot. More people are looking up to our president is going to fight corruption in the first place, to ensure that his administration is going to run efficient government and not doing what the previous government had done. And so the economy is important, and the president is calling on resetting the country. That's what he calls it. That he wants to reset the country, and he's looking at economic restructuring, he's looking at constitutional review, and that's quite important for Ghanaians.
Vera, many thanks. Vera Abena-Ado is a programs officer at Ghana Center for Democratic Development. The small island nation of the Seychelles off the east coast of Africa has become the unlikely setting of a great power rivalry. China has been making diplomatic inroads for years, while the U.S. has only recently returned to the strategic Indian Ocean archipelago. Kate Bartlett traveled to the island of Mahé in the Seychelles for more on what China and the U.S. are doing to win the hearts of the residents there.
The islands of Seychelles are not only picture-perfect for honeymooners, they've also long attracted global superpowers.
We do notice that there are various powers, various countries wanting to, as you say, woo us. Seychelles has made the decision that there will never be a military base on its territory. A foreign military base.
The archipelago's strategic position in the Indian Ocean, east of Africa and south of the Gulf states, has been of interest to countries such as the US, India and China from the past to the present day. In 1963, during the Cold War, the US built a tracking station on the main island of Mahé to monitor Russian satellites. 73-year-old island resident Paul Chow remembers the Americans when they were stationed on the island.
I was the head of the local island basketball team, and we used to play against the technicians at the tracking station.
Then, in the 90s, several years after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the US closed its embassy here and shut down the tracking station a month later. Almost 3 decades later, at a time when US-China competition is heating up, Washington, once again, has set its eyes on Seychelles.
The reopening of the embassy underscores the importance that the United States places on the partnership that we have with Seychelles.
The Chinese embassy in Mahé declined a request for an interview. But in the years of Washington's absence, China has been making diplomatic gains in Seychelles. It's sent doctors and built hospitals, affordable housing, the parliament, and the courts, all for free. China also gifted the state television company a new building.
The difference is that China's support to Seychelles is tangible. You can see them. You don't see the support that the US provides us.
Rather than building buildings, we're building capacity. And wherever we can help to provide input and expertise, whether it is on drug trafficking or the legal system or police force. We're happy to do that, and that's where we see really making an investment. You're planting seeds for the future. It's again not the same thing as a building, but we believe that it's an even more important contribution to make.
But that may not be enough to capture the hearts of some residents here.
China helps the Seychelles a lot, so people generally have a very positive view of China. But whereas maybe the US, they left back in the 90s, so we don't really get in touch with Americans that much.
While some residents fear their country is being used as a pawn in the geopolitical power play, President Wavel Ramkalawan's position is clear.
Seychelles is not part of this. We will receive Chinese warships in port, Indian warships, European warships, US warships, because we are friends with everyone.
With 2/3 of the world's oil shipments passing through, the Indian Ocean is a key waterway, which keeps Seychelles on the map for geopolitical rivals such as China and the US as they compete for influence here. Kate Bartlett, VOA News, Mahé, Seychelles.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is criticizing what he called those spreading lies and misinformation after coming under fire from billionaire Tesla CEO Elon Musk. The ally of incoming U.S. President Donald Trump accused Starmer of involvement in a cover-up of past cases of child sexual exploitation. As Henry Ridgel reports, it's the latest in a series of interventions by Musk in European politics.
In recent days, billionaire Tesla CEO Elon Musk has taken aim at the British government in a series of posts on his social media site X. Without providing evidence, he accused the British government of complicity in the alleged failure to prosecute so-called grooming gangs. The cases stretch back over 20 years, involving the sexual exploitation of children by gangs of men. Tim Bale is a professor of politics at Queen Mary University, London.
There was a feeling that grooming gangs, particularly those made up of men from Pakistani descent, weren't being prosecuted and weren't being investigated by police as strongly as they should have been. Partly, I think, because of the police's attitude towards the complainants, mainly working class girls who weren't taken very seriously by the police. And also, some would allege, because of sensitivities surrounding, if you like, the kind of community relations aspect. In other words, police and authorities being scared of being called racist.
Among those alleging a cover-up at the time was the extreme right activist Tommy Robinson, who is currently in jail on unrelated charges. Musk wrote on X that Robinson should be freed and, quote, those who covered up this travesty should take his place in that cell. Musk accused British Prime Minister Keir Starmer of failing to prosecute the grooming gangs when he was Britain's chief prosecutor. Speaking Monday, Starmer offered this response.
Those that are spreading lies and misinformation as far and as wide as possible, they're not interested in victims. They're interested in themselves. Those who are cheerleading Tommy Robinson, not interested in justice. They're supporting a man who went to prison for nearly collapsing a grooming case, a gang grooming case.
Starmer added that, as chief prosecutor, he had reopened numerous child abuse cases and brought the first prosecution of an Asian grooming gang. But Musk later repeated his criticism, labelling the Prime Minister, quote, utterly despicable. Starmer did not call out Elon Musk by name, notes analyst Bale.
Because of his closeness, at the moment anyway, to Donald Trump, Starmer has to be, I think, very careful, has to choose his words carefully, and therefore can't go against Musk by name.
Musk has also criticised German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and openly supports the far-right Alternative for Germany party. Some lawmakers have called for European regulators to take action against X for allegedly spreading misinformation.
I doubt, however, that actually that much will happen in that respect, simply because although Elon Musk likes to see himself as a kind of free speech absolutist, most politicians in most countries, in most parties, are themselves in favour of free speech.
In a further twist, Musk on Monday appeared to turn on Nigel Farage, a longtime ally of Donald Trump. Musk wrote on X that Farage, quote, doesn't have what it takes to lead Britain's Reform Party after Farage refused to support jailed activist Tommy Robinson. Farage replied that he stood by his position. Henry Ridgewell, VOA News, London.
Still to come, we'll tell you what's being done to deliver high-quality healthcare in Lesotho. Stay with us.
On the next Straight Talk Africa, this year South Africa presides over G20. The crisis in Sudan and the Democratic Republic of the Congo deepen. The African Growth and Opportunity Act is up for renewal, and young Africans are demanding change. Join me, Vincent Makori, for a look into major events that will shape the political and economic landscape on the African continent in 2025.
In other news, Ethiopia's Orthodox Christians are celebrating Christmas with prayers for peace in the Horn of Africa, a nation that has faced a persistent conflict in recent years. Ethiopians follow the Julian calendar, which runs 13 days later than the Gregorian calendar used by Catholic and Protestant churches. The Somali government says 10 al-Shabaab militants were killed in an operation conducted in collaboration with the United States military. In a statement, Somalia's information ministry said the operation took place approximately 60 kilometers northwest of Kismayo. The United States military has confirmed the killing of senior al-Shabaab leader Mohammed Mire in an airstrike on December 24th. Observers in Lesotho say delivering high-quality health care is a major challenge. Among other things, the high rates of HIV and tuberculosis, maternal and child health issues, and the shortage of healthcare professionals are key concerns. Additionally, many of the country's 2.2 million residents live in isolated villages, often hours away from the nearest healthcare facility. Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Mudu spoke with Dr. Melino Dayizigiye, Executive Director of Partners in Health in Lesotho, to discuss how the organization is supporting local efforts to improve healthcare.
Partners in Health work in Lesotho is providing comprehensive primary healthcare services in rural hard-to-reach areas of Lesotho. We started the program in 2006 on the invitation of the Minister of Health to provide HIV treatment and care for the hard-to-reach communities which had no access to HIV services. Later, we realized that we cannot really improve health outcomes if we focus only on HIV. So Partners in Health has expanded its services to other primary health care services, including maternal and child health, tuberculosis, non-communicable diseases, mental health. And in 2007, PH realized that there was a need to support the government of Lesotho to develop or implement treatment and care for multi-drug resistant tuberculosis.
Mental health services are not readily available, especially when you go to remote areas, rural areas in some parts of Africa. Can you discuss any challenges faced in implementing these mental health programs and also early childhood interventions?
We started with integration of early childhood development interventions into primary health care because we know that when you have a good foundation, you have better outcome. And we know that when it comes to child care, the first 1,000 days are critically important to build the foundation of physical and mental health well-being of anybody. So we integrated early childhood intervention into postnatal care, where we were taking advantage of having mothers when they come for postnatal care, and we train them on how to build the foundation using an intervention called save and return. And this has been also a good success for to show what is possible to improve the health outcomes of both mothers and babies. And one of the interventions that we had was to screen for postnatal care, depression. And we have realized that during the period of the intervention, 37% of mothers had mild or moderate or severe form of mental health. We then realized the need of expanding the integration of mental health into other programs like MDR-TB and overall primary health care. When we screen, we need also to provide care. Yeah. And we have diagnosed a lot of patients who needed care. And this has triggered us to invest more in a well-trained mental health workforce.
What are some ways that PIH has collaborated with local partners and governments in Lesotho to ensure that these health interventions are sustainable?
PIH way of working is through accompaniment. So we work hand in hand with local governments, and all these initiatives are discussed first with the government leadership, especially in the Ministry of Health. And once we agree that this intervention is really a good intervention that can help to improve health outcomes of the community, we go ahead and we implement. And we use the impact that we see on the ground to influence other partners and to influence also scale up of these interventions. So what we have seen from our experience when we introduced these new technologies, we realized that the impact was clear, and we were invited by the ministry's leadership, the Ministry of Health leadership, to present the findings to all partners. And now we have Global Fund, World Bank supporting the government to scale up these interventions. And we feel like, we say we influence with evidence. This is what we have been doing, and this is what we are going to continue to do.
Be sure to watch Lino Mundu's health reports every Tuesday on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thank you for watching.